Today we are going to learn about a simple topic. It's about centering a div in HTML using CSS. So now, back in the days when you have to center a div in HTML, it was really a pain in the ass. Like you have to use float, then you have to clear float. But now with modern CSS, you have like flex, grid, and positions, and like you can center a div very quickly. So here in this video, I will give you a quick overview of 3 steps of 3 different ways of centering a div in CSS. So the first and the most common way which I regularly use to center a div is flex. So if I like if here I have a basic HTML like a background color of red and then a div with a background color of black. So now if I have to center a div, what will I do? The parent of the div, like in my case it's the body, so you have to go and give display flex align item center and justify content center. So display flex will just flex the inner child of its direct child. So the direct child of the body is the box, so it will flex that. Now the align item and justify content will align the box horizontally and vertically centered, so it will be centered on our screen. So the second way of doing this is with grid, and mostly we don't use grid for such type of small task. Like we use grid for like 2D layout structure and stuff like that. It's a more like high level CSS and advanced CSS. But if you want to use grid, it's simple. It's just like flex. You have to go and give it the grid, and then we have a property called place items and center. So it will just directly center the div vertically and horizontally both. This property I think is relatively new. I don't know about support on different browsers. The third way of doing this is like using position, and like I really don't like this method, but most of the time you got stuck and you have to like position those div to align those vertically and horizontally. For that you have first on the parent you have to give this position relative style. Then on the child what you have to do is that you have to give position absolute, so it will absolute position that child with respect to the parent on which we have given the position relative attribute. Then you have to go with left 50% and sorry top 50%, top 50% and left 50%. So now what it will do, it will position that, but you can see that it's not completely centered position. The problem is that when you give top 50%, it positioned the whole div with this. Like we want the center of the div on the center of the page, but currently in our position the side of the div is on the center of the page. So to tackle that, what we have to do is to transform translate minus 50% and minus 50%. Now it will be centered position, and but most of the time you will not use this type. The most important and the most widely used way is that of flex, which I have shown you on the first step, and like grid and position, they are not widely used for these kind of stuffs.